just to share that process, please?
Sure, of course. Thank you for letting me be here today, and thank you for all the good work that you're doing. The numbers, my team is really, they've really overviewed our project. One of the things I get to do is to really put a face on what we're doing. And I take that very, very seriously, and I take that very much to heart because I get to work with the people who are working with those families. I'm a wraparound coach. My name is Crystal Hickman, and I'm enrolled in the Crow tribe. And I've been with OPI for about 5 years, a little over 5 years now. Some of the work that we do, when you look at that number is it's for me it's almost a silly number because it's just a number. But what that number represents is the number of youth that people have said could be more successful with support. And so really that number speaks a lot more to the people who are around the youth. Our opportunity is to make real connections with that youth and with the people in their lives. And that, I think, is really at the crux of what we get to do. We get to take the time to get to know the family and to help them understand what their vision for their life is. We get to talk with them about what they hope to accomplish and what they want to achieve. And we companion them through a process of understanding what it is that they want to do and how they're going to get there and who's going to walk with them on that journey. So we have we have had some challenges with COVID, but it's been really wonderful as well. We have one facilitator in Crow who has deepened his relationships with families and has learned a lot more about his families over the last year dealing with COVID. And COVID brought us to a really personal place with a lot of our families, and it's been very powerful. The work that we're doing is important, and it's big. One of the major things that we strive for is to Stephanie mentioned it earlier, is really to connect people who distrust systems to the system of education. And that's a huge undertaking, and one that we take very seriously, and or do it with as much honor as we can. So thank you for your time. I really appreciate being here today.
Okay, so can you go down to that second to the last slide, Crystal, please? There we go. Okay, so one of the things that, I mean, there's so much to talk about. There's so much more that we can share with you. And this is really just an overview of the work that we've been doing the past 10 years. And actually beyond that even, further before that, Donnie and I worked, with the Tribal Leaders Council around mental health, wellness, and suicide prevention, starting in 2006, I think it was 2007. So we've been in this game for quite a while now. And one of the things that I know for sure, in particular with the wraparound project and the wraparound process itself, the direct service that we provide through our project, is sustainability. So one of the things that that I would request that you all would think about in your adventure here between now and the end of April is that what are your thoughts around sustaining our work in the tribal communities that we're in, or the schools that we're in? And I really feel like the schools are the hub of our tribal communities. If all the schools that I mentioned in the communities that we're in, we're serving 9 schools right now, and they're really the hub of the communities. And to have this service through the school and bridging that bridge between the community and the school where there had been long time distrust. It's when we walk into the school now, they don't get scared and say, oh my gosh, it's OPI or whatever, they're here to judge us. They're here to, whatever. They don't do that anymore. I don't see that anymore. I don't know, I'm pretty sure I don't see that anymore. Not, at least not in our work for sure. And so that trust mechanism and that the relationships that we built in all of these communities, we really would like to sustain it. And we'd like to eventually present a model or a package of sorts that really showcases how Medicaid or a third-party billing or how a tribe or how a program can help support and sustain the work that's happening through the wraparound project. We did recently apply for a new grant, and we're hoping we get it. But you know, if we don't, then our project will be over at the end of September. And you know, from then on, I know Donnie and myself, you know, since forever, and we will. And I feel like everyone that's within our project will continue to do the great work we do in a different capacity. But I really love to sustain in these areas. So if I had an ask, or if we had an ask of all of you listening right now that have any leverage or any way to share this information, that's what our ask would be. So now I think we can just go forward with questions, Sarah. I don't know how fast that was. I wasn't timing it, so.
That's great. Thank you. Do any of our guests have questions about the Systems of Care SAMHSA grant that Stephanie and her team run for the OPI?
I don't have any, I didn't realize my camera was, here we go. I don't have a question, but I do have a statement, and that is, I've known Stephanie and her team for years, and the work that they do is absolutely invaluable. It's so needed in Indian country, and I'm pulling for you. I'm really praying that you get your grant. But not only do you guys do great work, but you're great people. And I'm always a little bit jealous, Stephanie, of the people that you're able to recruit. So I just wanted to acknowledge that and encourage you guys to keep up the good work.
Thank you, Director Cool. That's very kind.
I fell asleep. Could you repeat that? Messing. Hey, I want to thank you for the presentation. You know, a lot of times, you know, when we put in programs that are effective, those are the ones that are usually the ones that's forgotten about. And just to give a little history, as Stephanie mentioned, that, you know, this is a SAMHSA grant, and I guess it is a question. So when you mentioned about putting a plug in for the program, what was the ask again?
Just for you to just kind of like what Misty did too. I mean, just, I guess, I don't know if the this caucus or any of the legislators have any say in how third-party billing works, how Medicaid works, what is chosen on what's getting funded, or what code is developed, what waiver is developed. I don't know all the ins and outs about it, but I do know that I'm visiting with some Medicaid people, I believe it's next Tuesday, to talk about some options. Can we use it code? Can we without losing the value and the fidelity of wraparound that we? So is it about just making money? I don't know. So you know, for different folks, is it a business venture? Where do we have to look? And just for you all, just to support us in our ask and our requests for information around like billing and sustainability.
You know, one of the things that I would suggest, and I'm not in section B of the appropriations committee, but going back in 2009 and stuff, when I co-chaired the SAMHSA grant work group with Sibelius that time, and that's when a lot of these grants come through, and it's really interesting about some of the things that you were doing. And I know that what you're doing is working, because I have grandkids in Fort Peck that have been beneficiaries of this, especially in this past year. You know, my older granddaughters have had a really rough time when my daughter died on February 1st, 2020. And so, you know, some of the counseling and whatnot has been really helpful. And I mentioned that with a heavy heart at the same time, what you guys are doing. Perhaps what I would suggest is that, and I don't know how much of the Medicaid monies have been whacked today or not, but I do know that that subcommittee is doing a lot of reduction in some of the funding under that area. Perhaps, and you know, a lot of times, you know, different organizations, just from my experience with some of the different funding sources, is perhaps have a working document, like say with this particular program, to have a working agreement, so to speak, with the HHS. And you know, I don't know what the status of that position that Section B had with that Native American desk happened today, but things like this needs to be, like I said, these programs that you guys have created, they are pretty, they're kind of vulnerable at the moment, but I think that to make the best bang for the buck, where I'm trying to get at with this, with these agreements, is different departments seem to be pretty protective of the funding that they have. And I always call them silo fundings, that I'm not going to share none of my money with you because this is mine. And I think that type of mentality of these different departments working together needs to be a more cohesive type of operation. And just like and I'll give you an example of how to get more bang for your, or at least have a stronger position with your granting process, like the MILP program, the language in there, as well as the language immersion. There's language in there that the state funds that are received by the recipients can utilize that as leverage, whether they receive federal funding. In this case, that's how I understand it's going to happen. And some of the tribes that are utilizing that as leverage, a dollar for dollar match, you can pretty much basically double up on your fundage. But anyways, I'll put a comma there, and that's basically what that is. And maybe that could be something that we can, we're taking action on OPI tomorrow on Section E. And I'll see if the committee chair or the majority would be open to having a conceptual amendment. I mean, that probably may not be much, but at least it's a start, and to try to continue to the efforts that you're doing.
Thank you, Representative. Stephanie, you talked a little bit when we started today about the fact that your first grant is coming to a close and you've applied for a new one. I think maybe that's a little bit of an understatement. Can you talk about the delta there and the big step that your team is taking if this new grant is granted?
Well, which part? Well, it's a sustainability and expansion grant that we wrote for, and it's it's expanding into more schools across the state. And we're looking to, hopefully, we're looking for some kind of model that is being used even in other states to help sustain wraparound in these schools. That's our biggest thing. Sarah, I just need you to be more specific. It's I know it was only 10 pages, but there was a lot of stuff crammed in there.
There was. Sometimes the easiest way with legislators, in my experience, to show them the big step you're taking is to talk about the numbers. How big was your old grant and how big is your new request?
Oh, goodness. Okay, so our grant we're in right now is approximately $1.362 million a year for 4 years. We're asking for this time around, we've asked for 2.7 million a year for 4 years. So we're just about doubling it, a little over doubling it. And it's interesting how we're doubling it, but we've also made some serious refinements. I mean, some serious infrastructure building and systems change. It's very, and if you all would like to see it, that I'd be glad to share it with you. But it's a wonderful document. I hope and pray that we get it. And it'll really, really launch our work into a whole different area if we get the funds. So, thank you.
Stephanie, has your team done any modeling on right now with the 1.3-ish million dollars a year that you have? You're able to directly serve 100 students a year. Have you done any modeling on what you think this new grant in the new refined version, how many students you're hoping to serve per year?
I believe we stated we would support 240, I believe it is, over the 4 years of the project. But now remember, please remember, there's that exponential component of 240, and what did we get, Crystal? 3,000 something. We're going to get 6,000 something. So it took a long time for us to get here as far from a negative perspective. So it's going to take us a long time to get out of go the other way and bring balance back to our community. So we are trudging along, and you know, we just need more time, I guess.
That's great. Thank you. Dawn, do you have anything to share about how this new grant could impact your work as it aligns both with the SAMHSA program and the tribal consultation team?
Yes, so for those that have been part of our presentations, when we first discussed the Schools of Promise program, a big empty spot of that program on making our schools more effective for our youth was the wellness and mental health supports. That's where we wrote this grant in, I think, 8-9 years ago. And so one of the things that Stephanie, we meet on this a lot, and we're filling a gap that many of our youth are missing out there, and that's mental and wellness, social, emotional supports. I think COVID has really shown that school is more than instruction. It's the connections, it's the meals, the safety, and the structure that school offers. And it's really showing that we have to get our students in a place where they feel safe, their mind is ready to learn, and they're taken care of. And we're working with, for instance, Lana's program and a few others on getting that in place first. And this program is a huge piece of that. Talking with our staff at OPI, those of you on the call from Indian country understand that unfulfilled treaty obligations of the Indian Health Service and the federal government have left these gaps for healthcare services. And it is unfortunate that that we're still waiting on that, but what this program has done is provided a fill in, you know, and we want to get past the Band-Aids, because our wraparound facilitators work every day and night for our students, and it's deep, intense work, and it's something that changes lives. You know, they say one life is worth so much. If you look at this program, they've saved hundreds, I guarantee it. They get right with the students and work right with them and strengthen them with the local supports around them. So one thing that Stephanie brought up on Tuesday when we were debriefing on this is their Systems of Care grant really looks at the funding streams and the resources in our communities and how we can be more supportive of each other. Representative Windy Boy brought up siloing. Within our tribal communities, our reservations, there is a lot of this. And I think where you're getting at, Sarah, if the dream would be that we have our school districts, DPHHS in the state, OPI, our tribes, working in unison to provide these services, these health support services for our youth and our communities. That's the dream. And I think with the next grant, we're really going to look at sustainability. And as Stephanie asked, if there's a way that we could get wraparound services written into the Medicaid code to be reimbursable, that would be the dream. We are looking at different avenues, but the state of Montana is one of those states that really doesn't support a lot of the mental health piece as other states do. And it's becoming more and more evident that is something we need to fill. So I think going forward, Stephanie said it, no matter what, we keep going. We're resilient, and we keep going and working with whoever we can out there. And of course, our youth are the most strongest and beautiful and powerful kids ever. We just offer them the supports they need to get through the tough times. So I don't know if that answers your question, Sarah, but I'm just
does.
proud of this team. You know, they're so amazing, and they need to be brought out a little bit more. So
Thanks,
thank you.
Don. Director Cool, Representative Running Wolf, Windy Boy, Hawk, Pena, Fox, does anyone have any questions for our great team at the Systems of Care Grant and our SAMHSA program? How about you, Ronnie Joe? Does anyone on your team have a question?
No, not right now.
All right. Well, thank you everyone very much for joining us. The contact information for these folks is on the flyer we sent out. At the end of today, we will send you the video and the slides that were shared today. And you're always welcome to reach out to our team to learn more about their great work. And we hope we see you next Tuesday, right back here at 4 o'clock. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.